even need to forget about it because he was looking at the middle game, and that's a good thing for him right now as we blitz our way into game 3 of 6.
Wow, Hikaru Nakamura, he's gone back to his childhood favorite with black, the King's Indian defense. He used to play this every single game against D4 up until he reached the upper echelons of chess, and it was so effective. He took down so many world-class players. He was known as an attacking genius because of this, but he's gone away from the King's Indian in recent times. The fact that he's played it now shows he wants to be aggressive, he wants to be on the front foot, and he smells blood.
Going back to his roots, Hikaru Nakamura, this promises a mega entertaining fight. And the other big expert of the King's Indian defense is none other than Garry Kasparov in his biggest days, at his peak. The one player Magnus Carlsen believes is actually better than him in the history of the game.
And if Nakamura can maybe channel a little bit of that inner genius, which he is known to do in this opening, he might be able to strike back here. A missed opportunity in game number 2, but let's call it for what it is. Hikaru is one of the few players on the planet who is capable of manufacturing those opportunities against Magnus Carlsen. Yes, there was a missed opportunity, but the fact it was there in the first place is testament to how good he is.
It's not enough though, John. You know, you get that chance, you have to do it against him. Hikaru is the world number 2 for a reason.
Yes.
And to miss that chance against Magnus up upon, dominating on the clock, dominating on the board, this is heartbreak for him. And this is what made Magnus sort of this figure in Hikaru's mind who's almost untouchable, unstoppable. When you let go of those advantages, how do you break that mental block?
I don't know. In order to answer that question, you'd first have to answer the question, how does he not see the winning move at the end of that last game? And I don't have a good answer for that, I'm afraid.
Yeah, if you drop that position on Hikaru Nakamura and you say there's a winning move, he would find it.
Yeah, puzzle rush, here you go.
Puzzle rush immediately, but it was just the trend, the fact he'd lost the thread a little bit. It wasn't as kind of clear-cut as he was hoping. I mean, going back to this position, though, I do love the opening choice. It feels like Hikaru believes this is a must-win game with black. Of course, there's still plenty of games ahead. This will just be the halfway mark in this best-of-6 series. But there we go. He's going for it. Pushing pawns, King's Indian style. Opposite side castling as well. Anything could happen here. This doesn't actually play to Magnus's strengths, which is a great news for Hikaru. This is Hikaru from the late 2000s, early 2010s, showing that he's not afraid to blow open the center.
And these are the kind of middle game positions, right, where both players will have to make some very precise moves because it's going to get messy.
Yep.
It's already chaotic on the board. You have opposite side castling. Magnus's rook already lined up on the open G line. The F pawn about to move forward. For Hikaru Nakamura, he's also eyeing the A pawn to push forward and give some checks on B3. It's going to be a race to each other's king. This is the approach that you need to have to take down the world number 1. And I think Hikaru Nakamura so far has done everything right in this game.
Exactly. Still early days, but the fact that he still has 8 minutes, Hikaru, in a very complicated middle game, the fact that he's got the King's Indian break of pushing your pawn forward to F5 is great news for him. He can connect those 4 pawns now. He can push the pawn even further forward and force white to retreat or part with the beautiful dark squared bishop. But Hikaru looks like he was hovering his mouse over other pieces elsewhere on the board. Still looking very, very healthy. I'm really shocked as well that Magnus has gone in for this. He's up in the match still, even after saving that last one. But, I just rarely see him indulge in these super double-edged middle games.
Looking for the alternatives to the F4 push here, which looks great because white can only readily really jump in with the knight on G5. It's going to take a while for white to get more pieces into the attack. Just seems like a great way to close it off and focus on your own plan. So I wonder what the alternative is.
Yeah, I like Tanya's move actually as well. Maybe you just keep the tension 1 move longer. Push your pawn forward to A4, eke out some squares for your horses. But yeah, it depends on Hikaru's mood here. I don't think he needs to commit so early by locking down the pawn structure, but ultimately it is normally strategically desirable to do so.
Whether it's F4 or A4, Hikaru needs to make his decision quickly because
Yes.
in these kind of openings, you know, when there are all the minors and the majors still present, trades, any sort of simplification far off, it's a race to each other's king. You're talking about aggressive attacking play. Critical decisions lie ahead. There will be plenty of those. I'll make one small prediction here. This game's going to be decisive, one way or the other.
It certainly feels that way, doesn't it? With a 2-minute discrepancy on the clock now, Hikaru's going to want to turn that time disadvantage into a decisive advantage over the board, right? And eventually, F4 gets played. 2 minutes and 12 seconds, that thing, in a 10-minute game with no increment. That's huge.
Yeah, that betrays the indecision in his mind. Maybe the confidence shook by not converting the advantage in the previous game. Hikaru, his position here, super healthy. The eval bar even says that black has a small advantage, especially while the light squared bishops remain on the board. Magnus will be aiming to trade those pieces in the near future. But yeah, that time usage could come back and sting him later. We'll see what Magnus has up his sleeve. I wouldn't be surprised if he takes a timeout, puts his king closer to the corner.
Look, we have good news, right? We have talked up many players who are very, very quick with the mouse, very, very quick with speed chess. Well, guess who they all look up to? Guess who Big Daddy is as far as that speed is concerned? And that is Hikaru Nakamura, okay? So yes, he's a minute and a half down, but we trust him to do more with 30 seconds on the clock than anybody in this competition.
That's right. Him and his teammate, the two Falcons, they fly fast.
Exactly.
And Magnus, in the meantime, has lost a couple of moves there, Tanya. He jumped forward with his knight, pawn kicked it away, and he's gone back.
Well, Magnus perhaps is arguing that that pawn is a weakness. Once the rook slides over to the g6 square, it can become an easier target on h6. So creating those attacking points next to Hikaru's king, provoking that pawn push, it cost him time, but got him a target on the board.
And now the black queen likely to move to connect the black rooks. Very logical there. For white, the light squared bishop is a bit of a bystander, doesn't really contribute. The white knights don't have any good jumping points. White queen a bit locked in. It does feel like, okay, no big weaknesses for white, but it does feel like your pieces are somewhat blunted. Don't think Magnus is going to be happy at all. He likes active middle games, if anything. He likes his endgames too, but in these types of positions, very hard to come up with a plan. Human terms, so hard to be accurate.
This is a tougher position for Magnus to play than for Hikaru with the black pieces, that's for sure. But Hikaru will have to make some very committal decisions. You know, once he's maximized his piece placement, he will have to look for those pawn breaks. Or maybe not, because Magnus is the one bringing on the fight here.
He's doing it for him at this rate. Very interesting stuff, and the A line is now open. But both sides of the board open at the moment, so high risk, high reward for both players. Interesting choices from Magnus. It does buy him a little bit of breathing room.
It does, although black owns the open file, the G file. The black rook can come in at any moment. The white king, I'm going to say, is much more airy than its counterpart. The black king looks pretty safe, pretty well protected in the corner. Hikaru, we see his screen. He's about to play the move bishop g4. There we go. Putting some pressure on white's knight. I don't think he wants to trade yet, but if given the opportunity, he might even grab the white h-pawn. Magnus goes on the defensive, and Hikaru is playing on both flanks here, Tanya.
That is amazing. You know, he's making use of every single possibility on the board. He makes one move on the left side and then on the right side.
Yep.
He's asking Magnus for a decision. If Magnus pushes that b pawn forward, he's blocked all counter chances on that queen side, giving Hikaru essentially a free play all over the board. But does Magnus even have the possibility to keep the tension? Will we see the streamer's favorite move played against the world's favorite streamer? Will that be en passant?
No, en passant. It's a one-time offer. Magnus could have captured the c5 pawn a moment ago, but that is no longer on the cards. Black's knight looks super strong now. Can't get rid of that one on the b4 square. Magnus moves his king. It just needs a breakthrough. It's very blocked, but it feels like the black has the more active forces.
Keeping the position just a little bit closed. At the Esports World Cup, en passant isn't legally enforced. Of course, you don't have to take it. And we've chosen not to on this occasion. Queen now moving to the stronger side of the board for the black pieces.
It's a maneuvering game, and I really like the plan that I think Hikaru is setting up. He wants to reroute that dark squared bishop, the one piece that is so inactive in his camp,
right,
to a diagonal where he can get on the attack. Bishop d8, bishop a5 is what Hikaru Nakamura wants in the position. Magnus Carlsen not giving him the time to do so? Or are there tactics that perhaps still allow Hikaru to continue with his plan? Now that we spot that the king on d2 is lined up, he goes for it. Knight takes knight, bishop a5.
Nice.
Pin it, win it.
Beautiful. The King's Indian defense is known as an attacking weapon with the black pieces, but often there's one problem piece, and it's that dark squared bishop. You end up blocked behind your own pawns. If you ever activate that piece,
right,
it becomes a huge weapon.
White's light square bishop, we've talked about it already this game. Definitely the problem piece, blocked behind everything, in there at the long run as a defender. Black's Dark Square Bishop, blocked behind everything, but the A file was opened up by Magnus Carlsen a couple of moves ago, and that has presented Nakamura with an opportunity to shove that bishop over to the A file, and it looks like this is going to happen. That Dark Squared Bishop is suddenly going to become a very active piece staring down at the heart of White's position.
It's from zero to hero, you know, that bishop has transferred itself to a square where it's perhaps going to be the strongest piece in the position targeting White's king. And love how Hikaru's played on all flanks, right? We're talking about the left side, but let's point out the queen and the bishop on the right side are about at least threatening all the time to win that h5 pawn as well.
And you said it yourself, Tanya. Hikaru is also pretty darn good at grinding everything down. David, you agreed. This is beginning to look like Hikaru giving us a little bit of that as well.
Perfect game so far, but we said that about his play in the second half of the earlier game, in game 2. He couldn't finish that one off. This one's still very blocked. He needs a breakthrough. Good move there. Very important move by Magnus to occupy the A file to prevent infiltration. You still need a next step. And yeah, I'm going to say overall, though, no matter what happens in this game, this is exactly how Hikaru needs to play. Aggressive opening, King's Indian, push pawns, try to go for the opponent's king. White's king looks pretty safe, surprisingly, despite being in the center here, quite far advanced. But yeah, Hikaru, even if he doesn't turn this one into a win, he just needs to take inspiration from it. He's played fantastically so far.
He really has. I'm going to point out, though, I love how Magnus's king is just chilling in the center. You know, it's surrounded by his own pawns, but it's also playing a key defensive roles to exactly those central pawns, knowing that if any check happens, it might be game over, but any check is far away from that. And as I said, he tries to get it back to safety, sort of passing the ball to Hikaru right now, and Hikaru comes in with another plan. You know, it's all about the A file. I think he wants to get his queen over to B7, assist it to bring the rook and start attacking the white queen from A8 and give those very important checks.
And hang on a second, because the white queen is going to be the first piece to infiltrate, and the Silicon does not like that at all. We are now trapped behind enemy lines.
Look at Magnus shaking his head. The white queen has no way home. It's going to be sitting on that silly square for the rest of this game.
And the light squared bishop, it can come and start targeting it. It almost, and it does. Is Magnus Carlsen about to lose his queen?
We need to see Magnus here. Hikaru just needs to get his bishop out the way. We see a round of applause.
The crowd goes wild.
Hikaru fans there in the audience here in Riyadh. The white queen is still alive for now, but all you need to do is bring the bishop across. She's only got one safe square. Then you slide the rook. That Magnus Carlsen's queen is about to fall. He plays on. Hikaru Nakamura has to take this point, though.
He has to. He can't mess this up for the second time. Team Falcon, big support there. The home favorite team, Magnus Carlsen resign. Hikaru Nakamura is back in the match.